Breaking news. I have it now. Damian Lillard has been traded to the Los Angeles Clippers for Patrick Beverley and a future second round pick. All right, now that I have your attention, no, Damian Lillard has not been traded to the Los Angeles Clippers, or even to our knowledge, asked for a trade. But this free agency period that's coming up August 2nd is very important to making that happen. And I'm curious for you guys, we've each chosen a free agent that's not maybe going to move the needle to a championship, but a free agent we really want to see as the Blazers make a desperate plea to keep the best player they've ever had in town for a full decade without giving him a championship team, because that's what heroes do. And Neil Olshey definitely thinks he is a hero. John, who's your free agent?
All right. So swinging early, my free agent is someone that honestly I could see us signing on a vet minimum or kind of an exception. I know we have it's like a taxpayers exception, I think is what's called.
So you think it's a guy that's going to start?
I do. Yeah, 100%. I have us signing Blake Griffin.
Ooh, Blake. That's not a good trade.
I think the players available obviously are super, super limited because Portland has little to no money. I think Griffin has the most variety of skills of those players. Obviously nowhere near his former self, but you watch him in the playoffs of Brooklyn last year. I know he started for them. They have two superstars. They have Kevin Durant, but he does provide things that Portland does not have. He can move the ball. He's another threat to bring the ball up and to run the offense, at least somewhat. And definitely more than Covington was last year. So I think look for Portland to definitely sign Blake Griffin coming this offseason.
If you're talking about names that haven't really done anything with their career in the playoffs, then yes, that is the guy that we're looking for. Speaking of guys who haven't done anything in the playoffs, my guy that I've got for Portland is Nerlens Noel.
Famous playoff choker. Famous playoff choker.
Yes, famous playoff choker, but
they call him PG Noel.
Yeah, but Nerlens Noel, he brings grit and strength underneath, and he's a really good rebounder. He can do pretty much anything in that regard that Kanter did.
My nipples get hurt.
Except for footwork, he does not have that down low, but he's a really
Isn't
good
he
role
kind
man.
of the opposite of Kanter?
Yeah,
he
does play defense.
Yes, he's the opposite of Kanter. He does play defense, and he doesn't really have much offense outside of putbacks, but he is really highly ranked when it comes to rolling and putting back, and he provides some really good lobs. So I think Nerlens Noel is somebody to look for. He'll be right there with what we can afford for this coming off season.
You're right. He does sound a lot better than Blake Griffin, who has been an all-star before. Drew, who's your player?
Yeah, well, speaking of guys that last made impact on this league over 5 years ago, my guy is Serge Ibaka.
Warning, the following was recorded before Serge Ibaka took his player option to stay with the Clippers and thus contains inaccurate information.
Of the Los Angeles Clippers, I think he'd be a really great guy to back up Yusuf Nurkic. And I remember once, like 10 years ago, he caught a lob against Portland with a dunk, and I felt really sad. And that was the first time I started hating Russell Westbrook. So that's kind of my logic for the Ibaka pick. He burned us, so why not go get him? Same reason I think a guy like Paul Millsap.
We've come full circle.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I do make fun of your guys' picks because they have not been all-stars in our league before. I do like both players. I think honestly, like you could tell, especially in the playoffs, when Nurkic went out the court, like there's no hope of stopping anyone. Like teams could just get to the rim whenever they wanted. So either one of those guys definitely is going to help with that. I mean, but if you want someone that helps run the team better.
Now, what if the Blazers signed Kawhi Leonard, re-signed Norman Powell, trade CJ McCollum in the sign and trade for Kawhi, and sign Serge Ibaka? Then we're just running back to 2019 Raptors with Damian Lillard and Yusuf Nurkic. Now, that is something I can get behind. Will Neil Olshey do it?
No.
Will the Clippers do it? Will the Clippers accept CJ McCollum for Kawhi Leonard? We'll see.
They might not have a choice because Kawhi Leonard is a free agent.
And when he clearly wants to come play for his former coach, they can't. There's nothing they're going to do about it. And we leverage our way out of our CJ contract. And this whole time, this is how we get Kawhi Leonard to come to Portland.
Well, and then we sign Blake Griffin to come off the bench. Yes, okay, I am saying he's coming off the bench now. to come off the bench
Interesting.
for our championship level team. Well, I mean, when you're going, you have Kawhi. Like, I mean, what can you say? Kawhi's got to start over Blake.
Which
If we
yeah,
didn't have Kawhi,
probably. How would Blake
That's
Griffin
for
solve our
James.
defensive issues, John, when we were one of the worst defensive teams of all time? To close out this video, we're going to see if we can all say this name in unison. On the count of three, we'll go 1, 2, 3, and then say the player name. We're all going to close out and say Neil O'Shea is going to sign this player and this player only, maybe re-sign Norman Powell, and then say that we have enough to contend. On the count of three, this offseason, the Blazers will be signing 1, 2, 3.
Otto
Porter.
Porter.
Junior.
Thanks so much for watching and subscribe.